a game. And this is a game day edition of NFL Now on NFL Network. And I'm happy to tell you that we are from our newsroom in Los Angeles. My name is Andrew Siciliano. We're going to be out there in Kansas City coming up shortly with Jeff Chidia. It is good to be back. It is great to have you here with us for the first of a scheduled 256. Let's talk injuries. Doesn't it feel good to say that? I mean, not that anyone wants injuries, but let's bring in our guys here. Ian Rapoport, Tom Pelissero. Let's get hour number 2 of NFL Now kicked off here with new right now. Hello, Tom. Brandin Cooks is officially questionable. What do we know about him?
Well, Andrew, I'm told that this is going to be a true...
Oh, go ahead, Tom.
Go ahead, Ian. You do it. He asked me.
I said, hello,
Just
Tom. It's okay.
I will take this. Tom,
go back to
right
sleep,
there.
Ian.
I will handle this one. Brandin Cooks is officially listed as questionable. He does have a quad injury, but what my understanding is that over the last 24 hours, he really has improved in. There is optimism that Cooks will be able to be out on the field for the opener. At what level, how effective is he going to be? We do not know that, but he is pushing to play and sounds like he's got a very, very realistic shot today. Likelihood is that a warm-up pregame, just to be sure. Either way, this is the debut of the new Texans' varied receiving corps. Without DeAndre Hopkins, they believe it is more balanced. They hope it is more efficient and better for quarterback Deshaun Watson. But obviously today, all of that will actually play out because, as you mentioned, there's a game. All right, Tom, now you can go if you want, or you don't have to.
Ian, I was going to try to come up with a rebuttal, but that was perfect. I have nothing more to say.
Hey, we've heard coaches say, guys, that without preseason games and with a very different training camp, you know, things like tackling and fundamentals may fall by the wayside early here, week number 1. We had 6 weeks of training camp, but sometimes, you know, things fall through the cracks. All right. I will add this point.
This is how the show is.
This is the show. Like Ian sleeping live on television yesterday. It even made the New York Post. You guys should look it up. Oh, my God. It's on the Twitter and the Instagram as well. Let me throw this in as well. Brandin Cooks has been traded 3 times since 1980 from NFL research here. Only Eric Dickerson has been traded more times, 4. Like, of all NFL players. So we hope to have Brandin Cooks, who we liked here in Los Angeles with the Rams, on the field tonight. All right, moving on. Tom, tell us about what the Chiefs and the Texans have in store this evening. I know there's been discussions about how they will deal with the pregame and with their social justice statements.
Well, Ian, Andrew, this is going great. Andrew, player leaders from the Chiefs and the Texans, including the quarterbacks Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, have been having ongoing discussions in recent days about potentially making a joint demonstration that would speak to racial injustice and also show unity prior to the game tonight. Now, these conversations are fluid. The plans, until we get closer to kickoff, may not entirely solidify, but one option I can tell you has been discussed is both teams staying in the locker room during the playing of the national anthem. A lot of people will ask, well, what does this accomplish? What do the teams actually want? Well, I can tell you from the Texans' standpoint, a big part of the focus for them is not allowing people to co-opt the movement, seeking true justice for black and brown people who are the victims of police brutality, and calling on the Senate to bring the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act of 2020 to the Senate floor, something that we've seen the Baltimore Ravens also call publicly for that to happen. If you're watching during pregame, you also will quickly notice some of the players will be wearing T-shirts. They are actually designed by Texan safety Michael Thomas. NFLPA has sent one to every player league-wide. On the front, they read, "Injustice against one of us is injustice against all of us." And on the back, "End racism," which is also a phrase you will see stenciled behind one of the end zones.
Yeah, no doubt. After an offseason of spending so much time rightfully focusing on these social justice issues, you're going to see it play out in front of our eyes. And obviously the hope is that it's not the culmination of an offseason. It is that it really is just the beginning. Tom mentioned some of the action items at the, kind of at the forefront of the players' push here. You're going to see plenty more and plenty more protests and shows of unity and other things out on the field all Sunday, whether it's staying in the locker room during the anthem, whether it's kneeling, whether it's linking arms. So much of the pregame before the season before the game even starts is going to be about what are players going to do to kind of end racism and social injustice and police brutality and call attention to so many of the issues we've focused on the last several months.
And this is the first of 16 games about which we will have this conversation coming up week number 1. It's only week number 1 as we try to get through game number 1 coming up tonight. Ian Rapoport, Tom Pelissero, thanks for rolling with it, gentlemen. Let's go to Arrowhead now as we continue on NFL Now and show you what it looks like there. It is cold. I mean, relatively speaking, it is cold. It's in the 50s. Jeff Chidilla thinks it's like in the teens or something. But it's colder than normal, and it's rainy, and we could have rain this evening. I can tell you this, we will have fans tonight. And Jeff, that is certainly news as we hear the rain falling on your umbrella, because there aren't many teams that can have fans. The Chiefs, the Jaguars, among them, roughly 17,000 in the building there tonight. Take me through the protocols and how this is going to work.
Yeah, that's a very high number for what you're seeing around the league, Andrew, and they're excited about having these fans here. Now, when they get here, they are going to see some things they haven't seen before. You look at that parking lot with the cones out there. When they're tailgating and cooking their barbecue, if they want to do that in the rain, they're going to have to stay every other space. When they go into the stadium, they have to go through a specific zone. When they get in there, obviously wearing masks, social distancing, staying within the pods of people that they came to the game with. And if you care about the media, Andrew, we got our own thing we got to deal with here. We're getting our temperature checked when we walked in there. Typically, a game like this, a national primetime game, would draw well over 100 media members. There are probably less than 10 in the press box right now. And then after the game, we got to be out of here within 90 minutes. So big changes for us as well.
All right, and big changes in the Chiefs' backfield, Jeff. Let's talk about the football here. Damian Williams opted out, took over the Super Bowl when last we saw him. So he'll be watching at home the rookie Clyde Edwards-Helaire. What's the biggest thing that Andy Reid needs him to do tonight?
You know, as much as we've talked about the potential he has in this offense as a runner and a receiver and how he's improved as a pass protector during training camp, really the big thing tonight with this weather the way it is ball security. Edwards-Helaire said he talked a lot with offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy about the importance of taking care of the football. And if you go back 3 years ago, 2017 season, Kareem Hunt debuted with a huge game for the Chiefs, had an NFL record 246 total yards from scrimmage, but he also fumbled on his first carry. They do not want that to happen tonight with this player. They know he's going to be emotional and excited. Bieniemy told him, look, get your first hit out of the way, get tackled, and then start playing football because that's what you do best.
Andy Reid says he's better than Brian Westbrook, which is pretty high praise, the guy that he had in Philadelphia. Similar stature, certainly. The Texans have a new running back as well, as Carlos Hyde, who ran for 1,000 yards, is gone, and David Johnson from the DeAndre Hopkins trade is in. Since 2015, David Johnson's the only player in football with 30 rushing touchdowns and 15 receiving touchdowns, yet people kind of think he's done. He's out to prove he's not done.
Yeah, and Bill O'Brien's really excited about David Johnson in this offense because, as you mentioned, you look at his skill set, it fits what the Texans want to do. They want to team him with Duke Johnson, and they want to use him as a receiver as much as possible. They see him as a player who can create a lot of matchup nightmares for linebackers and a player who can get back to what he was in Arizona when Bruce Arians had him. Talking to David Johnson, he said, yeah, he's been banged up and he's had issues, but he's also played with bad teams, with bad quarterbacks, in different offenses. He feels like he's getting back to what he knows best, being with the Texans. And, again, this could be a big comeback year for him.
Yeah, for the record, I don't think he's done, but the collective snark when you go back to the trade, Jeff, in March, you heard it, and I guarantee you David Johnson heard it as well. We'll see what he can do tonight against that Chiefs defense. Jeff Chidilla trying to stay dry there in Kansas City. Thank you, sir.